On today's show, have the Dallas Mavericks expectations changed? If they are fairly healthy the rest of the season, where should they finish in the West? We'll talk about that. And oh yeah,
let's go!
On today's
Back, baby.
On today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, where we let it ride for the return. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section, how will the Mavs season end? How will it end? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor, and trader at Mavs.com, the pristine partner, the marauding Maverick, the cold-blooded co-host, the retired trade machine maniac, the respectable returner, the prodigal pastor, the Mavs employee emperor, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Oh my gosh, that's probably your best intro ever. I'm just riding my e-bike around. About to cash in on retirement from the email that went out the other day, and just enjoying the life. Just bought an island in down in the Caribbean.
Is it right next to Reggie Bullock's?
Oh, it's good to be back. Man, this show's been so much fun though since I've been gone, and Slightly and Dana, and just a fun group of you. Reggie, you've had some fun guests on, and this show's been a blast and love seeing it.
You don't have to lie about that.
I'm not lying. This is a lot of fun.
Today's show, we'll get into if the Mavs ceiling has changed so far. We'll get Isaac's opinion on all this kind of stuff. What's Luka's path to an MVP? What's one type of move the Mavs need to make? We'll talk about all that. Who's been Isaac's biggest surprise this season? But I want to start here, Isaac Harris.
Oh, I'm ready.
If the Mavs are fairly healthy this season, after the win against the Timberwolves now, if they're fairly healthy, where should they finish in the West?
Oh gosh, where should they finish? I'll say 3 to 6. 3 to 6. Somewhere in that range. I thought about doing some tiers, but
do your tiers in the West.
But no,
like old times.
I couldn't. Well, also, what if somebody's listening and they just hopped on the pod over the past few months? They're like, who the crap is this dude?
This guy, Nick, is obsessed with this kid. Where did this guy come from?
Who is this?
That's correct.
I'm glad this guy is off the show and not every day. No, 3 through 6. I mean, I think we see the potential of what this Mavs team could be whenever you have Kyrie and Luka on the floor. You see that game the other night, and it's like that game the other night against the Timberwolves. They beat the best team in the league, arguably best team in the conference. And you're like, that's why you go out and get a Kyrie Irving, because Luka can't do it all. I've said it, a handful of times on the corner 3 at Mavs.com. To where,
when is that posted?
It is posted on Friday evening, and we do some live stream stuff on Wednesday. I'm excited about that. Maybe some more stuff on Wednesday. I'll be working with.
Do you talk about trade rumors on that?
Shut up. No, I can't talk about trade rumors.
I was just curious what type of content you talked about on that show.
I'm not retired from the trade machine. I just can't share trade machine thoughts. But what I've said multiple times on there is, as much fun as Christmas Day was, it was so much fun of the Suns game and Luka and everything. That is not sustainable. Like, you just can't do that every game. Like, it felt like a pickup game or like a high school game, whereas like the best player, I mean, Luka literally had to like walk to the teammate at the time they like handed him the ball. And then, I mean, and it felt like every single possession. That's something you have in your back pocket for a game 7 or these tough games, but it's not sustainable for a regular season that is so long. And that's why you go out and get a Kyrie Irving for games like that Timberwolves game that allows you to have that second star that can put up 35 in a game and take over moments. And you're like, holy crap. Like, you don't forget Luka's on the floor, but like you have another guy that is like Luka out there that just raises the whole ceiling. So when they're both healthy, you can look at some of the lineups, the 3-man lineups with them two and Lively. They've only played like 235 minutes together, which you wish that was a lot higher. But in those 235, they're a plus 11 net rating in that, like a 126, 127 net offensive rating in that, lower a defensive rating. And so it's like, get those 3 on the floor together, and this team's looking pretty nasty.
And then if you add Exum to that, it's been even better. So the loss of Exum here has been kind of tough for them as well. But it's 100% why you add somebody like Kyrie Irving, because he can step up in moments where I've seen this take a couple of times. Why don't you just trade Kyrie for a couple other pieces and get some depth on this team? It's like, no, but you can't replace what Kyrie Irving just did in that Timberwolves game where he hits those 2 threes late, where who else would you want to take those shots or to take those threes? I mean, and Luka can't do it the entire game. Kyrie came out aggressive early and he finished the game too. Like, you just need that go-to scoring. And every team that's ever won anything has had a couple guys like that just can go out, get you a bucket, and can do it against anybody. And Kyrie's somebody that can do it against literally anybody out there. And
yeah, I mean, you look at like the Lakers. I mean, they got guys like Anthony Davis alongside LeBron. They got guys like Christian Wood alongside LeBron that can hit these big shots in games. And Austin Reeves, they just have a bunch of other dudes on the team that can hit these big shots in the game. But no, I mean, yeah, so that's why I say like 3 to 6 in the West of, you're saying if they're fairly healthy and if they stay, healthy for most of the season, I think that's the range. I would be shocked if they fell into like 9 or 10 and these guys are fully healthy and all of that, especially at the MVP level that Luka's playing at.
Yeah, if we're going to start doing some tiers, it looks like to me, Minnesota, OKC, and Denver are kind of in their own tier right now. And so to crack that tier, to be top 3, like you've said, as like their ceiling, that would be really tough to do. Like, one of those teams would have to really fall off to do that. And so that seems to be where it is. But then there's the Clippers, Kings, Mavericks, Pelicans, even throw the Suns in there if they ever get healthy. That feels like it's the next tier, right? Like, that's a big tier of a bunch of teams. And then you've got the like Rockets, Lakers, like the Jazz are all of a sudden in it, the Warriors, and then I'm throwing the Grizzlies, Blazers, and Spurs in their own tier. The loss of Ja Morant now, that Grizzlies team becomes
it's tough,
brutal, just brutal to watch, brutal to not brutal to play against anymore, because I think they're gonna get destroyed by a bunch of teams.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say anything like that right now as they play them tonight. So you heard it here.
Am I jinxing it? Am I fully jinxing it? That's fine. If they lose to the Grizzlies, I will take the blame. It's my fault.
Yep. You blame Nick, just like he runs TV shows. You blame Nick right here.
So fairly healthy. I think the Mavs, I'm with you. 3 to 6 is like they should finish right there. They're 6th right now, and they are 1 or 2 wins away from being 4th. It's so tight.
Like, would you be shocked if they finished over the Clippers or Kings? I wouldn't be shocked.
No.
Would you be shocked if they finished over the Timberwolves? Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of surprising. So that's why I'm saying,
but they're only 4 games back from them, right? Like, it takes one of those teams. Like, what if, Matt Moore was tweeting about this today about the Timberwolves and how some of their body language just looked really bad. Like, what if all of a sudden some of that, the Cat, Gobert, Anthony Edwards, like that whole, trio starts to kind of break down chemistry wise, then all of a sudden, like 4 games is not that big of a gap.
No, not at all.
No, they could do that. Coming up, has the ceiling changed based on what you expected to start the season? Let's get into that. What's Luka's path to an MVP? We'll talk about all that and more coming up. Today's episode brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp has you covered when you have to talk to somebody about something. I have Isaac at times, who I've talked to about lots of things. And sometimes you need somebody that doesn't have a side. Isaac takes my side on a lot of things. I'm sure you have a friend that's like always taking your side. You're like, all right, I just need somebody to talk to that is impartial, that is there to help me and help me through a problem, but not necessarily have biases or I have to see the next day after I've just cried my eyes out to this person sometimes. So if you think about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. I've used BetterHelp in the past. I use an online therapy service right now. Fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Again, celebrate the progress that you've already made and keep it going because no one's ever done. You're never a finished product. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. If you want to support the show, text me, get text alerts from me on all kinds of Mavs.
You better unmute me, you little punk. You muted me during the ad, and you muted me coming out of the ad. What are you doing?
I muted you during the ad because on the screen I remove you, and some people don't know that your mic is not muted. And you started taking a drink, and I was
ad.
like, well, did you want to be in the ad?
Dads do the ads, Nick.
Here, you want to do the ad? Go ahead. Do the ad.
BetterHelp, convenient, flexible online therapy. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA.
Apologies to the Amazon ad-free audience for that. All right. Has the Mavs ceiling changed? So we think they're going to be 3-6. That in the West, that feels like where they should finish. Has the ceiling changed based on what you expected at the start of the year?
Not a ton. I mean, maybe just slightly higher, slightly biased, maybe.
You are slightly biased now, as
I know
as
that's
receiving checks from this team.
Slightly's video today, they posted the Bill Simmons
The
one.
Bill Russillo impersonation.
Incredible, great stuff.
Look into that CIA thing.
I think a little bit mainly because of Dereck Lively, because it's kind of like what equals out each other. What I thought Josh Green would be this year has been what Dante Exum has been.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a wash for me. What maybe I thought Grant Williams or the big impact that Grant would have, it's kind of what Derrick Jones Jr. has added. So, it's not as easy as 1 + 1 = 2 there, but it's the Dereck Lively piece that I think has taken just a tad step up for me as far as like what the ceiling of the team is. And it just defies all the odds, right? Like we've talked about the reason why when we did draft profiles, the biggest reason why, is Rafael Barlow was like hyping Dereck Lively up all the time to us and telling him how good he is and Mavs like him, all this stuff. And we're like, I mean, if y'all were listening to us, we're like, do we really want to take a big? Nick is spouting out all these numbers. Big. Yeah. And like how much rookie bigs play on good teams and playoff teams and all this stuff. So it wasn't as much about like him as a prospect or what his future is. It was more about, hey, this team's supposed to be good. So are they really going to commit a lottery pick and to playing this guy a lot of minutes? Like history tells you that is not typically the case. So he's kind of defied the odds of that and played really good basketball and fit into this team so well. And we all love him. We all love watching him play. So I think his impact, and we see like the record of the team when he doesn't play.
Yeah.
Won
2 games without him though. Now they've won now 2
That's
games.
True. That's true. But he has just a huge impact on this team, and the drop off from the skill set of what he brings at the big spot between Lively and then the next few guys on the roster is just a big gap. So, I mean, I think Lively takes it up a little notch for me.
Yeah, it's not many like young big men and especially rookie big men that have been on really good teams lately and that have won games and all that. I mean, you have to go back to Lively would be the first rookie to average 25 minutes a game on a team that goes above 500 since Yao Ming.
Wow.
So that was 2003. Chet Holmgren is also going to do this as well this season, but we'll say Lively's the first. We'll say Lively's the first one to get there. But so it was not about the prospect of Lively himself. We liked him and thought that, all right, if this pans out with him, he's going to be everything the Mavericks want. The problem is, when is that going to pan out? You look at what's going on with the Warriors right now. They did the same thing with James Wiseman, where they picked James Wiseman second overall, even a higher pick than where the Mavs picked Lively. And they thought, oh, this guy is going to be exactly what this team needs. He can play off of this. He can shoot. He can do all this kind of stuff. Obviously, the pick and roll stuff's going to be great. And he was terrible. And he still is terrible. And on a Pistons team that's terrible. And he's terrible on a team that's terrible. I mean, it just didn't pan out as well as you could have hoped. And it's gone completely different for the Mavericks. And yeah, Lively has been the real piece that's really stepped up. And I think the Exum kind of jumping out, the Derrick Jones Jr. stepping out, like those have been really good surprises that have definitely helped in a huge way. That the Mavs, they went out and got Grant Williams, they signed Derrick Jones Jr., they signed Dante Exum, they signed Seth Curry, and you're like, all right, we just need like two of you guys to really pop. And they've had two of them pop, Exum and Derrick Jones Jr.
Yeah, so are we going into that question now about the surprises of the season?
Yeah, give me your biggest surprise of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's those two guys. I mean, you strike gold. I mean, this is exactly what you have to have happen for a team like Dallas that goes out, and I think you got to strike gold on some of these rotation pieces. And man, did they ever with Dante Exum and Derrick Jones Jr. I remember doing, and this isn't a victory lap at all, but like I remember doing a Dante Exum pod on on the show back right when they signed him, and it was just a solo pod. It was just a Dante Exum deep dive. And I remember some of you were like, dude, why are you doing a whole show on Dante Exum? I don't want to listen to a whole show on Exum. Is he, going to play? And my whole thing back then was, and I actually listened to it a while back. I was like, what's that? How much did I really like hype him up?
How much could I do a victory lap on this?
Well, one of the things I do feel like I was I felt kind of strong about was like, hey, don't be surprised if he plays more than Jaden Hardy.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's clearly been the case. And not just Dante Exum's playing well off the bench, but he's played so well that they can't take him off. Like, and now he has to, and like, can't take him off the floor as a starter. And Jason Kidd committing to him being a starter. I mean, everything, and I know I said this, but like everything I envisioned Josh Green being, and why we were saying before the season, dude, Josh has to start because they got to have a point of attack defender. Dante Exum's been that and more. And I love it so much for him. I love his story and all of that stuff. Speaking of those like lineups and net ratings and stuff, I mean, you want to see a net rating of a 3-man combo. You look at Luka Doncic with Derrick Jones Jr. and Dante Exum, and you're looking at a plus 18 net rating. I mean, which is, and they played 220 minutes together. So roughly the same amount as, Luka, Kyrie, and Dereck Lively. But those numbers are awesome. And then Derrick Jones Jr., kind of the same reason why I was like, dude, is Omax going to have to play? Because they have to have another bigger wing body out there. And I didn't know what to expect. I mean, you signed somebody to a minimum contract, and I mean, he's having a career year. This is the best version of Derrick Jones Jr. we've ever seen in the league. And another, story, his outside shooting, all this stuff. We talked to him at Media Day, and it's just been so fun to see both of these guys kind of just have these like career years in the league. And that's what you have to have whenever you're going to be a really good team. Now they just got to get healthy and get the rest of the, pieces around striking gold with those cheap contracts.
This offseason was just so important. They just needed to take a bunch of shots, and they did. They took a bunch of shots, and they hit on some of them, right? They didn't just stick with what they have and say, all right, we're just going to keep building continuity and try that. Like, well, they've done that over and over again. They decided to go and try a bunch of guys, and half of them have panned out, and that's been the big difference, really. I mean, Kyrie has missed a bunch of games still. Kyrie's missed what, like 13 games? 15 games, I think he's missed so far. It's a lot. It's a lot of games. Yeah. And the Mavs are still playing really well. And if he stays healthy, then we think that this is a potentially top 5 team in the West. And that's a lot better than where they were last year. That's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Are you surprised that Richaun Holmes can't see any time? That was like sneaky one of my surprises this season.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, we didn't really have, if you go back and listen to some of our preseason pods, we didn't really have a firm opinion on Holmes, right? Like, because we're like, you don't know what to really expect. Like, I mean, he could be playing as many minutes as Dwight is right now, or he might not be playing at all. So like, I just went into the season without any expectations for him because he kind of fell out of the rotation in Sacramento and all that stuff, to where I'm not like overly shocked. I think I'd be more shocked if it was he was starting and playing 35 minutes a night. So am I a little surprised that he couldn't get in any minutes? I know, he's had some personal issues, different stuff to where he hasn't been playing a little bit, and he was active in that Minnesota game. Was I a little surprised he didn't get a few minutes here and there? Yeah, but I'm not like shocked that he's not playing at all.
Coming up, let's talk about Luka's path to an MVP and the one move that the Mavericks need to make this season. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds and lines and parlays that you can do. They got the Parlay Builder. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. You can place a $5 bet. So go to FanDuel Sportsbook and check out, see what they have available for you for the Mavs game against the Grizzlies. Tonight, if you're listening to this on a Tuesday, Mavs 8-point favorite, minus 360 on the money line. So you can put some money down on that if the Mavs cover that spread. I feel like they're going to cover 8 points, but hey, I've jinxed it earlier. Now I'm double jinxing it.
I can't talk about that.
You wanted to be in the ads. The dads wanted to do the ads, and
let me do a counseling ad, not a betting ad.
$150 in bonus bets, win or lose when you place a $5 bet. So go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. It's not just NBA. They have NFL as well. The playoffs coming up. Cowboys, Packers. Again, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, Isaac. Feels good to say that and actually be talking to somebody.
It's actually me.
No, just for someone to be there.
Somebody answered.
I usually say that and there's no one there. What's Luka's path to an MVP this season?
Kyrie Irving being fully healthy. Because that means the Mavericks have a better shot at being in the top 4 of the West. I can't take that thought. I saw Jason Gallagher tweet that during the Minnesota game, and I was like, that's a good answer for that. But no, there's a handful of things that need to happen. I mean, they got to finish with at least top 4. I'd probably say top 3 seed in the West. For them to do that, Kyrie Irving probably needs to be fairly healthy the rest of the season. You start looking at other guys that, possibilities for the award, Joel Embiid, Giannis, Jokic. If Boston, no one's talking about Jason Tatum, but it's like, Boston's only lost 7 games. Like, what if they finish with just an insane record and Tatum has good numbers? Would they consider it? Probably not. They're probably in the same boat as Minnesota, to where it's all right, you got Towns, Gobert, you got 4 all-stars. Calm down. And you're trying to push the Derek White all-star thing. No, you don't get the MVP.
Don't
get me started on that. So
shaved his head and he's become an all-star now, Isaac.
He's a really good player. Yes. But you look at Jokic, Giannis, Joel Embiid, and you probably need Philly to drop out of the top 4. In that case, I mean, Embiid's numbers this season are insane. The fact that they lost Harden, I know Maxey's taken a big step forward, but so much about this is narrative, and that's why the Christmas Day game, I thought was huge for Luka, because it was a huge national narrative game. Shocker here, but all the MVP voters are not watching all the games. All right, so I know this is a really surprising thing for people.
What?
But who's all watching that Christmas night game? Probably majority of the MVP voters. And so when you have these big performances like that, and Luka has that dominant performance, against the Suns, national TV, Christmas Day. So can he have a couple more of those? Can he have these big matchups against a Jokic, an Embiid, somebody else that he, puts up an insane stat line? They beat him. It's a big narrative moment too. I think that will help him, but he'll need a little help. I think, because I think if Philly finishes in the top 2 or 3, Embiid's numbers, for a lot of people will mean a ton. If Denver surpasses Minnesota, will Jokic get some more love again? But I do think this is the closest that we've been to a Luka MVP, and there is a definite path forward for him to win it this year.
Definitely close. I don't think some Mavs fans know Joel Embiid's numbers right now. He's averaging more points than minutes, which hasn't been done since Wilt Chamberlain. That's insane. 34.5 points per game. And he's playing 34 minutes a game. He's averaging about 12 rebounds, 6 assists as a center, 2 blocks and a steal a game. And they're 21-6 when he plays. I mean, he's just been very good this season. Locked On Sixers is talking like they're talking about Wilt Chamberlain every time they talk about Joel Embiid because people are making comparisons to a statistical thing he did or something else. I mean, it's just a crazy season. To me, though, the narrative is going to really hurt him because he's got to do it in the playoffs again. Are we going to do this again? We're going to give this guy an MVP when he can't get out of the second round.
But they're going to vote though before the playoffs hit. So
I know, but they'll think about last season and they'll think about the season before, like just all the disappointments he's had. And I don't know if they'll want to give it to him again. But if his numbers are that good, then hey, he's played less games than Luka. He's played 6 less games than Luka, and like Luka has 6 more losses than him. And they have the same amount of wins when they play. It's like pretty even. What's one type of move the Mavs need to make? Now, I want to preface that you are a Mavs employee, so that's why we've joked about trade rumors and like all that kind of stuff. But you can talk about like a type of player that they want to bring in. Shams mentioned that the Mavs have gone after. They've gone after Siakam, they've gone after Jeremy Grant, and they said that their price tags are too high, but they're trying to go after a forward. They're trying to go after a big body for somebody like that. What's a type of move the Mavs need to make?
Yeah, I mean, that's it right there. I mean, I think it's 2 spots for sure. It's that 4 spot. It's the bigger, another bigger wing out there to kind of join that rotation. With Grant and Derek Jones Jr. I mean, or like an upgrade in that spot. That I mean, I feel like that's the thing that's been reported the most in that. So I mean, I think that's the when you look at a backup big too. But what's crazy is I was just talking to somebody at that Minnesota game the other night, and I was like, how many teams right now are looking for backup bigs? It's just wild that I mean, it feels like there's so many good teams
not a lot
out
of
there.
them.
No, I feel like
there's not a lot of backup bigs, is what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
The league and you're like,
and that's the thing. It's like I feel like so many teams are looking for, or like you see reports like, yeah, they're looking for another bigger body. Well, yeah, join the ranks there. So I think they're gonna have some competition for that. It's not as easy. I feel like you see that thrown around a lot of like, man, could the Mavs, just get another backup big, out there behind Lively when he, plays.
If they could only get a big wing and a backup center, you're like, okay, well, that's a tall order for both of those things to land.
Yeah, so those are the 2 spots. I think the wing spot would probably be the higher priority.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
they've got their small ball lineups have done pretty well. Them spacing the floor and trying to figure it out. Mavs defense has been pretty good over the last 20 games. I think they're top 10 in defense the last 20 games, which is kind of wild. It helps you've played Portland like almost 4 times in that stretch.
I'm down to never play Portland again.
I'm so down. And injuries. This is the last Tuesday's the last time they'll play the Grizzlies this season. So done with the Grizzlies and the Blazers, which actually, you know what? They want to play those teams again because they're very bad. But yeah, that's the type of move they need to make. OG Anunoby's already been traded. I don't think he would have fit that 4. Dorian Finney-Smith is still out there as like he could be that 4. He's not really that bigger body, but he already knows the map system. He would fit in really well. He obviously would come in and be a good culture guy. Everybody brings up, or not everybody, but a lot of Mavs fans will bring up Jonathan Isaac. He's not playing right now. Like they got to bring in somebody that's going to play, that's going to be guaranteed to play. But trying to find another 4 like that, if it's not going to be Siakam, not going to be Jeremy Grant, it's kind of tough to look across the league and try and find somebody. Kuzma, I guess, is one that comes up, but he's not that much of a like lockdown defender. He can defend. He defended really well in that Lakers title run, but yeah, that's the type of move that they need to make. And then a backup center. Andre Drummond is kind of like the only name that's sort of been floated around. Kelly Olynyk, I think, has sort of been floated around too as a name. But yeah. What do you think about the Kyrie experience so far this season?
I actually had this down at the end for me to talk to you about, or ask you about just how fun Kyrie is to watch, just how entertaining he is. And, even just to talk to, I stuck around after the Minnesota game. I'm trying to work on something about Kyrie. I just wanted to ask him a few questions and stuff. And just, he did the cold tub after the game, just waited, a handful of us. And then, I mean, he'll just answer any question. And just for as long, I mean, it feels like he was there longer than we've talked to any player for ever. And he's just down to talk basketball and talk about what's going on. afterwards, he gets up and it's pretty late in the arena at that point, and he's like, all right, y'all have a safe, trip home. And
See you guys.
he's just, I mean, you really can't. I feel like I get asked about Kyrie more than Luka or anybody else from like friends or, other people who are not like around the team. And I'm like, I can't say enough like good things about like being around him or like people around the team or like teammates and just like their interactions with him and all of that. And just like the leadership. One of the things I was asking him about, and I even, asked Derek Jones about too, was just like, when you have a leader out there like Kyrie that is given the effort that he's giving. He flew over the Timberwolves bench. There was another play that, and this one's like key, is, Ant stole the ball from him one time at the top of the key, and he chased him all the way down. He didn't just stop and, whine and all of that and just watch, the rest of the play unfold. He chased Ant down and fouled him, didn't give him, the free layup. And that's the type of stuff that sticks out to your teammates. That's the leadership stuff of like, if Kyrie, who's in his, low 30s, who's won a ring and all this stuff of that everybody respects, is out there busting his butt and giving the effort that he's given, that spews on to the teammates. So, yeah, man, I've really enjoyed the Kyrie Irving experience this year. Just got to keep him healthy and keep those ankles healthy.
Yeah, you come into a Kyrie season with worries, right? There's the worry of a flight risk. There's the worry of, is he going to fit with the locker room? Is there a worry that he's going to be injured? And like the only one that's really been a thing is the injuries. That's really the only thing. Everything else has been great. Luka and him are getting along. He had a great quote about Luka and how much he respects him, and talked about how Luka was playing on a bad wheel, or like, he was like, Luka plays through injuries, and like he respected that.
Yeah, that's a response to my question.
Yeah, he respected him about that, and just, all that. And he's played pretty well. 23 points a game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal, almost a half a block. He's not almost there. He's
go listen on the Mavs YouTube channel. You can listen to that answer, because my question to Kyrie after the game was, hey, it's coming up on a year since you got traded here. Like, it's coming up in like 3 weeks, which is crazy. It's coming up on a year you got traded here. What have you learned about playing with Luka, and how have y'all grown together? As far as, like a duo and stuff. And he gave it, kind of a longer answer about learning Luka. He did say something that should make Mavs fans a lot, pretty happy. He's like, hey, it's going to take longer than a year. It's going to take longer than a year to, keep on learning each other and growing and all that stuff. And, him viewing it as a long-term relationship and all that. So, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And anyway,
that trade was February 6th, 2023.
Yeah. Speaking of Luka, this was my last thing I was going to throw. One more thing.
Hey,
peace out. One more thing. I want to praise Luka's conditioning right now.
Yeah.
I think this is some of the best he's looked. I mean, we were sitting courtside before, pregame the other night, and we were just sitting there, and I was like, man, look at Luka right now. Like, I mean, he just, you can tell that his body's just in a better spot. It's his conditioning and body gets talked about so much, feels like every off season, and everybody talked about it again coming into this season. But like, look, we're a couple months into the season now. Let's see what, at the end of the season, all of that. But we know all the reporting and the team, that he's hired around him, all that stuff. I'm sure you've talked about on this podcast a lot. But you can just tell that he looks better. He looks fresher in the fourth quarter towards the end of the games. It looks like he's moving quicker. It's just really encouraging to see, for the flack that he's gotten for it, but also he deserves some of the praise for it now of like, hey, it feels like he's, responding to that.
He's been great. His conditioning is much better. It's been awesome to watch those two guys when they play. We'll see it again against the Grizzlies, it seems like. Guys, go check out tomorrow's episode. Slightly and I will be on the post game talking about Mavs-Grizzlies game, and we'll have it all covered here for you guys. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.